18. And okay. Neta Drishanam Swajana Vyapekshaya.
Neta Drishanam Swajana Vyapekshaya.
Grahan Pratiyat Anavasthitatmanam.
Grihan Pratiyat
Ye Bhagyatan Vakradiya Vichakshate.
Ye Abhyakshate
Aropita Bruhupir Amarshanakshibihi.
Aropita
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada. One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or a friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. However low a person may be, he is never unkind to his children, wife, and nearest kin. Even a tiger is kind to its cubs, for within the animal kingdom, the cubs are treated very nicely. Since Sati was the daughter of Daksh, however cruel and contaminated he might be, naturally it was expected that he would receive her very nicely. But here it is indicated by the word anavasthita, that such a person cannot be trusted. Tigers are very kind to their cubs, but it is also known that sometimes they eat them. Malicious persons should not be trusted because they are always unsteady. Thus, Sati was advised not to go to her father's house because to accept such a father as a relative and to go to his house without being properly invited was not suitable. So, Lord Shiva is trying to give her some sound advice. He is saying that if the person's house that you're going, if he is not steady in mind, if he can get angry easily, if he's disturbed in mind, better not go there, especially uninvited. So reading on, Tathari Virna Vyatate Shili Mukhe. Shete Ridita Go Hridayena Duyata. Swanam Yatha Vakradhiyam Duruktibhir. Divanisham Tapyati Marmataditaha.
Divanisham Tapyati Marmatadita.
Lord Shiva continued, if one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, one is not as aggrieved as when cut by the unkind words of a relative, for such grief continues to rend one's heart day and night. So in the earlier purport, Srila Prabhupada was giving the example of a tiger. Tiger is angry, he's malicious. So that's how he can be aggressive to others. But the tiger will protect its own family, own children, cubs. Sometimes also they eat their cubs because of the malicious nature. So now Lord Shiva is continuing and saying that, you know what, if you know someone is an enemy, it doesn't hurt you so much. But when somebody you consider as your relative, as your friend, as your dear one, when they speak harsh words, then that really pierces the heart. And then one feels aggrieved. Sati might have concluded that she would take the risk of going to her father's house. And even if her father spoke unkindly against her, she would be tolerant, as a son sometimes tolerates the reproaches of his parents. But Lord Shiva reminded her that she would not be able to tolerate such unkind words because natural psychology dictates that although One can suffer harm from an enemy and not mind so much pain, because pain inflicted by an enemy is natural. When one is hurt by the strong words of a relative, one suffers the effects continually, day and night, and sometimes the injury becomes so intolerable that one commits suicide. So when we hear unkind words from our loved ones, dear ones that we are attached to, because we don't expect that from such a person. If somebody is an enemy and somebody speaks unkind words or does some harm, we are, yeah, okay, it's natural. It's expected of you. But when it's coming from a person we are attached to, is someone who's dear to us, then such words pierce the heart. That is a natural psychology here, Srila Prabhupada is saying. And that's the reason Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that our speech should be in the mode of goodness. Our speech should be pleasing to the ears of who we are speaking to. It should not be harsh, because then that gets lodged in the heart. It pierces the heart, the harsh speech. Vyaktam tvam उत्कृष्टात् गते प्रजापतेः
व्यक्तं त्वम् उत्कृष्ट कते प्रजापते
प्रियात्मजानाम् असि सुभ्रू मे मता
प्रियात्मजानम् असि शुभ्रू मे मता
तथापि मानं न पितु प्रपत्तस्यसे
तथापि मां न पितुः प्रपत्स्यसि
मद्भाश्रयात् क परितप्यते यतः
मत् आश्रयात् का परितप्यते यथा.
My dear white complexion wife, it is clear that of the many daughters of Daksh, you are the pet, yet you will not be honored at his house because of your being my wife. Rather, you will be sorry that you are connected with me. Lord Shiva put forward the argument that even if Sati proposed to go alone without her husband, still she would not be received well because she was his wife. There was every chance of a catastrophe, even if she wanted to go alone. Therefore, Lord Shiva indirectly requested her not to go to her father's house. Pachyamanena Shritaturyendriyah Samriddhibihi Purusha Buddhi Sakshinam Akalpa Esham Adhirodhum Anjasa Parampadam Dveshti Yathasura Harin. One who is conducted by the false ego and thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate opulence of self-realized persons. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The real reason for the enmity between Lord Shiva and Daksha is explained here. Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva because of Shiva's high position as an incarnation of a quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because Shiva was directly in contact with the Super Soul and was therefore honored and given a better sitting place than he. So Daksh is envious of Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is on a much higher platform than Daksh is. Lord Shiva is, after all, Guna Avatar. He is the incarnation of the Lord in the mode of ignorance. So the position that Lord Shiva has is much greater than Daksh. And Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of the of the Lord. He's actually an expansion. He's Shiva Tattva, So, and he's self-realized. He's a Mahajan, he's self-realized. So he's just on a totally different level, on a much higher level than Daksh. And Daksh is not able to accept this. So there were many other reasons also. Daksh, being materially puffed up, could not tolerate the high position of Lord Shiva. So his anger at Lord Shiva's not standing up in his presence was only the final manifestation of his envy. So Daksh got irritated that Lord Shiva is not getting up. That was just the igniter. There was a long line of there was so many other reasons because of which he was envious. And that's why just a small thing that Lord Shiva was not getting up, he used that as an excuse to vent out his anger. We may do that also sometimes, there'll be a series of things happening. And then there is something which ignites. So Lord Shiva is always in meditation and always perceives the supersoul as expressed here by the words Purusha Buddhi Sakshina. So who is Lord Shiva meditating on? Sankarshan. Lord Sankarshan is Lord Shiva's Ishtadev. Lord Shiva is always meditating on Lord Sankarshan. Lord Sankarshan is the supersoul. So we can see here because some people think that Lord Shiva is himself God or the Supreme Most. But here it's clearly pointed out that Lord Shiva himself is meditating on the Super Soul, on Lord Vishnu. So Lord Vishnu is higher than Lord Shiva. The position of one whose intelligence is always absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very great and cannot be imitated by anyone, especially an ordinary person. So the pure devotees, their mind is fixed on Krishna. They are just attached to Krishna. Mai asakta mana partha. Krishna says, you fix your mind on me. And the pure devotees, their minds are fixed on Krishna. Krishna tells Arjuna in chapter 7, text 1, Mai asakta mana partha. Fix your mind on me. So, our mind it may be fixed on so many different things. And because it's always fixed on the material, our actions, words, uh, thoughts are going to be material. Our intelligence will be material. But the pure devotee, his mind is fixed on Krishna. So, of course, he's completely on a different level, on a transcendental level. Transcended the modes. So he's not an ordinary person. And we can't imitate such a person. It's very clear if one is acting within the modes or one is liberated from the modes. How a person speaks, what are his thoughts, what are his actions, 24 hours a day, what he does, easily can be understood. When Daksh entered the arena of Yajna, Lord Shiva was in meditation and might not have seen Daksh enter. But Daksh took the opportunity to curse him because Daksh had maintained an envious attitude towards Lord Shiva for a long time. Those who are actually self-realized see every individual body as a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature is residing in everyone's body. So Prabhupada is pointing out that maybe, Lord Shiva did not even notice that Daksha is coming inside the sacrificial area, the arena. Maybe he didn't even see it because he's always meditating on the Supreme Lord. He didn't see it. And then Srila Prabhupada is going on to say that a pure devotee of the Lord, he sees everyone's body as a temple. Why does he see that as a temple? Because the Paramatma is there in everyone's heart. Not as a temple because the Jivatma is there. Yes, we, the Jivatma, are there. Yes. But why is it a temple? Because the Paramatma is there. The super soul is there. God is there in everyone's heart. So when one offers respect to the body, it is not to the material body, but to the presence of the Supreme Lord. So when we are doing namaskar or when we are doing obeisances, offering obeisances, it's offering the obeisances to the Paramatma who is there inside the body, not to the body itself, but to the Paramatma, not to the Jivatma, but to the Paramatma. Thus, one who is always in meditation upon the Supreme Lord is always offering him obeisances. But since Daksh was not very elevated, he thought that obeisances were offered to the material body. And because Lord Shiva did not offer respect to his material body, Daksh became envious. So Daksh is thinking, oh, that when somebody is offering obeisances, when somebody is doing Dakdavat, or namaskar or something, it's offering to the material body. So Daksh is thinking, hey, why didn't Lord Shiva offer me obeisances? He's not understanding that if anyone is offering obeisances to another, those obeisances are meant for the Paramatma who's in the heart. Such persons being unable to rise to the standard of self-realized souls like Lord Shiva are always envious. The example given here is very suitable. Asuras, demons, or atheists are always envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They simply want to kill him. So why atheist is also being called in the same category as demon or asur? Because of envy, we say God does not exist. We are so envious of God. We say there's no God. There's no need of God. God does not exist. That is out of envy. So even in this age, we find some so-called scholars commenting on Bhagavad Gita who are envious of Krishna when Krishna says, Man mana bhava madbhakta. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 65. Always think of me, become my devotee, and surrender unto me. The so-called scholars comment that it is not to Krishna that we have to surrender. So yeah, many people say that, many people who comment on the Bhagavad Gita, because they have not understood the Bhagavad Gita themselves, they misinterpret the Bhagavad Gita. And then statements like, oh, it's not that we have to surrender to Krishna, we have to surrender to something inside of Krishna or something beyond Krishna. But Krishna is not saying surrender to something inside me or beyond me. Krishna is just saying, you surrender to me. He's saying, you think of me. We just have to follow what Krishna is saying. We do not have to misinterpret what Krishna is saying. Because when we misinterpret, then we are missing the main point, and that is Krishna. So that is envy. It's out of envy we say that Krishna does not exist, God does not exist, God is not a person. Why? Because it's so much. Krishna says we are all here in the material world. All the Jivatmas in the material world. Why are we here? Because of our envy of God and our desire to be God. That I should be God. Why is Krishna? For that. So the asuras or atheists, the demons without reason or cause, are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, instead of offering respect to self-realized persons, foolish men who cannot approach the highest standard of self-realization are always envious, although there is no reason. So it should have been the other way around. Daksh should have realized the supermost position of Lord Shiva over there in that assembly. Lord Shiva is after all called Maheshwar, the Lord of all the demigods. So Daksh should have offered obeisances to Lord Shiva, understanding him as a pure devotee, understanding as a self-realized person. But no, because of his envy, he is expecting respect for himself. Okay. So then reading on. Pratyudgama prashrayan na pivadanam
प्रयुक्तमा
युद्धगम प्रत्ययनाभिवादनम्
प्रश्रायणाभिवादनम्
vidiyate sadhu mithasu madhyame
विधीयते
विधीयते
साधु
साधु
मिथ
मिथा
सुमध्यमे
सुमध्यमे
pravajane parasme purushaya chetasa
प्राज्ञे
प्राज्ञने
परस्मै
परस्मै
पुरुषाय
पुरुषाय
चेतसः
चेतसा
guhashayayeva na dehamanine
गुहाशयाय
गुहाशयायेव
एव न
न
देहमानिने.
देहमानिने.
My dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another, and offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respects to the super soul who's sitting within the body, not to the person who identifies with the body. So Lord Shiva is trying to explain to Sati how does a self-realized soul offer respect to the Paramatma, not to the body. It may be argued that since Daksh was the father-in-law of Lord Shiva, it was certainly the duty of Lord Shiva to offer him respect. You know, or that you're the son-in-law, so you should offer respect to Daksh. In answer to that argument, it is explained here that when a learned person stands up or offers obeisances and welcome, he offers respect to the super soul who is sitting within everyone's heart. So the pure devotee, the self-realized person can see that the obeisances are to be given to the Paramatma who is there in the heart. Among Vaishnavas, therefore, it is seen that even when a disciple offers obeisances to his spiritual master, the spiritual master immediately returns the obeisances because they are mutually offered not to the body but to the super soul. Therefore, the spiritual master also offers respect to the super soul situated in the body of the disciple. Srila Prabhupada is saying that the Vaishnavas, when they are offering obeisances, when the devotee, when the disciple is offering obeisances to the spiritual master is also offering obeisances to the disciple, understanding that there is the Paramatma sitting inside the body of the disciple. So he's offering the obeisances to the Paramatma, not to the material body. The Lord says in Srimad Bhagavatam that offering respect to his devotees is more valuable than offering respect to him. Devotees do not identify with the body. So offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna says that my devotees are more worshipable than me. You know, my devotee is higher than me. One who is worshipping my devotee is actually my servant. But one who claims to be directly my servant is not my servant. Krishna says that. Also, Lord Shiva tells to Parvati that is recorded in Shiv Puran, that worship of Lord Vishnu is the highest, and even higher than worship of Lord Vishnu is worship of his devotees. So devotees do not identify with the body. So offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Vishnu. It is stated also that as a matter of etiquette, as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, one must immediately offer him respect, indicating the super soul sitting within. A Vaishnava sees the body as a temple of Vishnu. So when we see a Vaishnava, we are advised to immediately offer respects because this Vaishnava, he has already realized the super soul in his heart. So he's a great personality. Since Lord Shiva had already offered respect to the super soul in Krishna consciousness, offering respect to Daksh, who identified with his body, was already performed. There was no need to offer respect to his body, for that is not directed by any Vedic injunction. So Lord Shiva is trying to say here that he's already sitting in meditation. So what is he doing? He's offering respect to the Paramatma. Now the same Paramatma is also in Daksh heart. So means he's already offered obeisances to the Paramatma also in Daksha's heart. And there is no need to separately offer obeisances to Daksha's material body, because the idea of offering obeisances is to offer the obeisances to the Paramatma within the body and not to the material body. So this is what Lord Shiva is teaching us, that when we are offering obeisances, we are offering to the Paramatma who is sitting inside the body. And when we see a Vaishnava, yes, we should immediately, as a matter of etiquette, offer him respect, indicating the super soul sitting within. Any comments?
I just want to add that when we say namaste, that's what it means, that we are offering respect to the super soul in you, which is the same in me.
That's right. Thank you. Yes. Yes, we don't understand it. We are thinking it's, respect to me.
Like it's just like hello, like that, but it's not. It means that.
Yeah, it's true. You know what reminds me of that story? That the donkey, he's going on the road and he's seeing, "Arey wow, everyone is offering obeisances to me. They're all falling down at my feet. They're offering me ghee lamp. They're showering flowers on me." And he's like feeling so great, And what was the true thing was because the deity was kept on him. The deity was riding on his back. People were actually offering obeisances to the deity, offering the ghee lamp to the deity, but the donkey started thinking it's for him. So yes, as you rightly said, the namaste, namaskars, the obeisances are all for the super soul, but we think it's for us. Mm-hmm.
And also, I was just thinking that how it must be an unfortunate thought that though Daksha had such a like powerful son-in-law, and he still couldn't. He was jealous of that. Rather, he could have turned this into a good opportunity, and
Yes.
so like how unfortunate this is that he had such a great son-in-law, and still he was just jealous of him, and this is just so sad.
And it's also his brother.
And brother, and then like son-in-law is somebody whom somebody really loves, because you have given your daughter. And you really love them, but he was jealous. And why? Because he already gave the daughter. But that's unfortunate. Like, that's a Leela of Krishna. But I'm just saying that how unfortunate this is. That I mean,
it's true. So because of envy. So see, it's because of envy. Here we are trying to understand what envy can do to us. As you rightly pointed out, he's not able to appreciate Lord Shiva or even take advantage that, oh yeah, Lord Shiva, he's a pure devotee, he's my son-in-law, let me learn from him, let me do some service for him, it's for my spiritual benefit. But because of the envy, we stop our own progress.
True. And what Neha said, rightly said that, like normally the son-in-law, when you give your daughter, you should, in fact, they give a lot of respect to the son-in-law.
Yes, right.
So true. In our custom,
true. So this is the ill effects of envy that we are seeing.
Envy is
what envy does to us, how we are hindering our own progress because of envy. Yeah. Daksh was so envious that he's hindering his own progress. So, yeah, it's true. So true. That was a good point. So, thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.